get started, folks. My name is Tom McFadden. I'm with the U.S. Small Business Administration, where I'm a lender relations specialist. And joining me on the call is my colleague, Kathy Gase. She is the lead economic development specialist for the state of Michigan. Say hi, Kathy.
Hi, and I want to correct myself. It's Michigan spelled out at sba.gov. Michigan at sba.gov is our email if you want the presentation. Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kathy. So first of all, I just want to say that, we're sorry for all the difficulty that just about everybody is having right now with this, viral outbreak. This COVID-19 has been very difficult on people. So we just want to say we're sorry about that, and as a federal agency, we're trying to do our part to make your life a little bit better. Today we're going to be talking about a product that we are able to offer today. It's called the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan. That is what we're going to be focusing on right now. I do want to say a couple of things. Understand that we are only one part of the federal government and other government agencies, and that there are many other options out there, and so we recommend that you look for lots of different opportunities, to help yourself, your business, and others, whether it's business or others. So we're just one part of it. And I also want to say that everybody is very anxious about this bill that was just passed by the Senate last night. It's scheduled to be voted on by the House, I believe, tomorrow. We won't comment on that today because we really don't know what's in it. And we can't really know how things are going to change until that bill has actually been enacted into law. However, I will strongly encourage you to sign up for emails that we are sending out on a regular basis on opportunities for trainings, other resources that we offer, as well as, of course, as soon as this bill becomes law, we will immediately pass that information along to you. And the best way for you to get that email is to go to, thank you, Kathy, for putting that in there. It's in the chat. You can go to get on the email list, www.sba.gov/updates, UPDATE, ending with an S. So that way you can know what's going on. All right, let's start talking about economic injury disaster loans. These became, and I'm on slide number 2 here, these became available once working with the governor here in the state of Michigan and working with our agency. We were able to get a disaster declaration made, and that happened last week. We believe that, I believe that most, if not all, states have now gotten this disaster declaration related to COVID-19. If not, I'm sure they will be finished with the rest of those, within a day or two. So that's what's required to get this particular program going. Now, let's talk about here, and I'm on slide number 3, SBA's working capital loans, these economic injury disaster loans, are different from other SBA loans or any other commercial loans you've ever seen. These monies come directly from the U.S. Treasury. And you do not go to a bank to apply. Instead, you apply directly to our SBA Disaster Assistance Program at disaster.sba.gov. Now, it's important for you to know there is no cost to apply. There's no obligation to make the loan if we offer you one. So it's just a matter of you investing your time. Now, we have 2 loan amounts. There's only going to be one loan. If you don't want to secure the loan with some kind of collateral, the maximum unsecured amount is $25,000. In addition, we have a loan per business enterprise, and that would be all the affiliated businesses together. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Can go up to $2 million. So if you don't want to secure any collateral, that's okay. If you are willing to give us collateral, then you can potentially get up to $2 million. We'll talk a little bit in a moment about how the loan amount is determined. Now, if you already have an existing SBA disaster loan, if you've been impacted by more typical type of stuff, through the floods, hurricanes, that kind of thing, you can still apply for this economic injury disaster loan because it's a separate economic disaster. So don't worry about that. We won't consolidate the loans, but you'll just have two loans with two payments. Now, question, are you eligible to apply? Most small businesses most small businesses are absolutely eligible to apply. And as you can see here, I'm looking at slide number 4. That includes small businesses, small agricultural cooperatives, small aquaculture businesses. And this is a little bit different. Most private nonprofit organizations. This includes businesses that have been impacted directly by it and those that have been impacted indirectly by this COVID-19. And so that would probably include just about every business in the country that has been, most businesses have been negatively impacted by these shutdowns and related to COVID-19. Now, the question is, what kind of small businesses can apply? Now, here's a list here on slide number 5. Many eligible industries. It's included, but it is not limited to retailers, restaurants, manufacturers, sports vendors, owners of rental property, souvenir shops, travel agencies, hotels, recreational facilities, charter boats, wholesalers, etc. Most small businesses are going to be eligible. We have a list of a few that are ineligible on a slide or two, but most small businesses are eligible. Now, you want to say to yourself, how do I know if I am a small business? Okay, there's a hyperlink here at the bottom of page 5 that has lists of the table size standards. You can also go just a little more simply, go to sba.gov. Thank you, Kathy, for pasting that. sba.gov/size, S-I-Z-E. There's a great interactive tool there that can just ask questions about whatever your general revenues are, what business you're in, etc. And in less than 5 minutes, you'll know whether or not you're eligible. But I think well north of 90% or 95% even of the businesses in the United States are going to be eligible for this loan. Now, as we said, not only for-profit businesses, but private nonprofits can also be eligible for these loans. Things like, and I'm on slide number 6, nursing homes, food kitchens, museums, educational facilities, senior citizen centers, daycare centers, playhouses, community centers, shelters, rescue organizations, associations, etc. They are all these, and it's certainly not limited to this, are eligible to apply. So just to put a little bit finer point on it, how do you know if you're an eligible nonprofit? For sure, anybody with a letter from the IRS granting them tax exemption under 501c, 501b, or 501e of the IRS code, you're good to go. Or if you don't have something like this, you can provide satisfactory evidence from your state government that shows that you are an eligible private nonprofit. Now we've talked about who is eligible for these economic injury disaster loans, who's ineligible. There are a few. Some agricultural enterprises, if the primary activity of the business is defined under that section in the this is slide 7, under the small business, neither the business nor its affiliates are eligible for these economic injury disaster loans. Now, remember, like I said at the beginning here, the SBA is only a small part of the federal response to COVID-19. So if you are in that kind of agricultural business, that just means you're not SBA eligible, but contact the USDA. If you go to usda.gov, it's all over the top. It's all over the front of the presentation, their homepage. They have a similar program just focused on agricultural businesses. And then you can go to your local state. Here, we know for a fact that the state of Michigan also has agriculture related assistance. Yes, thank you, Kathy, for posting the USDA website. Okay, now ineligibles, others, religious or charitable organizations and government-owned concerns are not eligible. So when we say religious or charitable, it's going to be something that most likely is related to some kind of, religious, religious enterprise. So, your church or something that's related to that is not going to be eligible for this. Now, some small businesses that are run really and are considered hobbies, that's not going to be eligible either. Gambling concern. Any business that gets more than a third of its annual gross revenue from legal gambling activities is not eligible. And then also speculative real estate businesses. So, for example, say somebody says, I know somebody's willing to sell that property on a deal because they need to raise cash. Well, you can certainly do that, but you can't do that through this economic injury disaster loan. It's not eligible. That kind of speculation is just not eligible under that. Please make sure you're muted, *6. Thank you. Now, let's talk a little bit. Can everybody just double check here? Let's pause for just a second. Because I'm hearing some background noise and it just makes it hard for everybody. Yeah, just remember, if you think you might have some background noise, you need to mute, or you shouldn't most necessarily *6. Listen to your headset. It'll tell you whether you're muted or not. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about the loan terms for this economic injury disaster loan. How much can you borrow? Eligible entities, and we talked about what eligibility means, may qualify for loans of up to $2 million. Okay, so but not every business is going to get $2 million. We're going to determine, and you'll see when we talk about how you apply, there's a formula that they're going to utilize to determine that. What are the interest rates? If you are a for-profit business, the loan rate, the interest rate is fixed at 3.75%. If you are a nonprofit organization that's eligible, your interest rate is going to be fixed at 2.75%. Now, it's important, it's kind of buried there in that second bullet. The terms of these loans are up to 30 years. So what does that mean? It means that there's no balloon. You get the loan, and under the terms here, the federal government has extended it. You don't have to make any payments once you've closed on this loan for 12 months. And then at that point, then you start making monthly payments as if because the loan is payable back over 30 years. So just to kind of do the rule of thumb, if you're thinking about, okay, how much is this going to cost me? Well, roughly your loan payment, principal and interest, is going to be a little less than $5 per $1,000 borrowed per month. Okay? Now, eligibility for these loans are based on the size of the business, the type of business, and its financial resources. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail in a few minutes. Now, how can you use the loan funds? You can use it to pay off your fixed debts, not refinance, but to make those payments. So if, for example, you have a mortgage on your work building, you can apply to say, I need to use this so that I can make my monthly payment and keep my business in good standing with the person who loaned me that money. And that would include other types of debt, letters of credit, other kinds of loan notes. What can you use it for? Payroll. So if you need to keep, and hopefully you will keep as many people as is reasonable, employed by your business, you can use that for payroll, not just the net payroll, but for all the other aspects you have to do too. Unemployment insurance, Medicare payments, 401k, whatever is a reasonable part of your compensation to your employees. You can borrow money under this program so that you can keep them on the payroll. You can use it for your accounts payable, your trade payables. So if you spend so much per month on office supplies, you can apply for that, and we will give you, or a lot, not give, but we will loan you those expenses. And then here it says, catch all other bills that could have been paid had the disaster not occurred. Now, it's really important for you to understand that right now, we are looking at these loans as if you're going to need 6 months. So you need to make sure that you get more than just your monthly expenses. For example, here in the state of Michigan, property taxes are due in both the winter and the summer. So going out 6 months from now, if you have real estate, you're going to owe those property taxes probably in July or August. You need to list those expenses so that when your property taxes come due in August, you can take money from these loan proceeds and use that to pay your property taxes and keep in good with that. Loans are not intended to replace lost sales or for expansion. Now, so we're going to cover your expenses, but we're not going to cover the profit portion of the revenue that you've lost. Now, if you need to expand your business, and I'm talking with somebody today who got a big contract to manufacture, surgical masks, you can borrow that money, just not through this economic injury disaster loan. They could borrow that conventionally, and we have other regular SBA loan programs that could cover that type of loan expansion. So if you find you are the opposite of most businesses and your business is really growing and you need to borrow more money, you can borrow it through a lender, using the SBA loan or through a conventional commercial loan. Okay, slide number 8. What's the criteria for loan approval? Well, they're going to say here, it says applicants must have a credit history acceptable to the SBA. It's assessed on a case-by-case basis. So they are the underwriters, the people who look at your loan package, are going to take a look at your credit history, and they're going to want to see if you paid off your loans. Now, having said that, we have relaxed our stance on this just in the last day, and we are not looking at credit scores. So I would encourage you, if you're concerned that you might be on the bubble with this and you're not sure, please apply. We are not going to look at your credit score and then make a decision strictly based on that. Okay. Now, repayment. The SBA is going to determine that the applicant business has the ability to repay the SBA loan. So that's why not everybody's going to get $2 million. Okay. So what they're going to do, and we'll talk about this, they're going to look at your expenses that you apply to be reimbursed for. Then they're going to look at your last year's financial statement, and they're going to look at your sales for the last few months, and that is, of course, your sales before COVID-19, stopped everybody's, revenue, and on that basis, they're going to say, okay, you qualify for X dollars. Exactly what that formula is, I can't tell you, but it's going to depend, partly on that information. Probably, my guess is probably based on your industry too. So, obviously, childcare business is a lot different from a manufacturer, so they may have a different formula or secret sauce to determine what that loan amount is going to be. So let's talk about, please make sure you're muted, *6, listen to your headphone, and it'll tell you whether you're muted or not, or we'll even give you a sign if you're looking on the computer. It'll tell you. There'll be a yellow bar with black lettering at the bottom that will or not. Collateral requirements. Okay, as I said before, any loan over $25,000 is going to require some collateral. So what are we going to do? We are going to take real estate collateral through some kind of mortgage when it's available. So if your business has real estate, if you have a personal home, we're going to take a mortgage on that. Now, we're not going to be, in most cases, we're not going to be doing an appraisal. We won't even do title insurance, probably. We may get a title search, so we have verification of ownership and a correct legal description. But that's kind of the trade-off. We get you the money pretty quickly under some good terms, and then we take real estate collateral. And it doesn't matter if you have 2 mortgages on your house and 3 mortgages on your business property. We're simply going to take a lien behind anybody else who's already there. Now, we will not decline a loan because there's not enough collateral. This is a cash flow loan. That's why we look at your sales history when the economy was, normal, and your normal expenses, and that's how we determine what your loan amount is. So if there's collateral, we're going to take it, but we're not going to deny you a loan because there is not enough collateral. Okay, on to slide 10. Getting ready to apply. You're going to get your documents together. Some of the important documents are the IRS Form 4506T, and that is called the Tax Information Authorization. And what that means is our agency is going to go to the IRS and electronically get a transcript of what you filed so that we can verify that the information that you submitted to us is the same as what the IRS got. And you're going to need that applicant or more, or spouses who together own 20% or more are all going to be required to personally guarantee, and any affiliated businesses. We're going to need all those. We're going to need separate 4506T documents. We're going to need complete copies, and I underline complete copies of the most recent federal income tax return. So if you don't have the 2019s done, don't worry about it. We'll take the 2018 and then we'll supplement it. That'll be the next slide. Now, the next document that you're going to need to complete is really important. It's the Schedule of Liabilities, Sba Form 2202. And that is going to show all the expenses that you're hoping are going to be covered by this economic injury disaster loan that you're going to be taking. So make sure that you list everything that is a reasonable business expense. You're much better off asking for more, and then if the underwriter says, oh, can't do that or can't do that, getting that, than finding out, oh, we didn't ask for it. Now we're going to have to ask for more. You can do that, but let's not make our lives any more complicated than we need to. Personal financial statement. All the people who our owners, and I talked about the 20% ownership rule a moment ago. All those folks are going to have to fill out an SBA Form 413. That hasn't, that's easily found. It's just, personal, what are the things that you own? What do you owe? What's your net worth? Be wanting a list of any real estate, that kind of stuff will be included. But every owner is going to need to complete that. All right, slide 11, other documents you may need. Right here it says we talked about the most recent financial tax returns for all these, owners, affiliated business, the applying business. Now, importantly, on this second check mark, if the most recent federal income tax return has not been filed, a year-end profit and loss statement and balance sheet for that tax year needs to be included. So many people we've spoken with have only filed their 2018. That's fine. So just send the 2018. You'll fill out the 4506T and say this is the latest year I filed. You will send in your own internally completed profit and loss statement and balance sheet for that year. And I was just talking with a woman about that this morning. That would very typically be something that should be available from your QuickBooks or Peachtree or whatever software you're using. We'll want to have, if for most businesses, if their fiscal year end is 12/31/19, then they won't have to give us a supplement. If you have a different year end, we need a financial statement within 90 days or sooner. And so we'll want you to give us another one of those internally prepared profit and loss statement, so we can kind of see what your trends were through January or February. Okay. And then another important document is the Sba Form 1368. You're going to give us monthly sales figures, and that's a really important document because you are going to be your loan amount is going to be determined by not only your expenses but also by your sales. Now, it's really important if you have a seasonal business that you indicate that, and you may want to give them more data than they're looking at. I was talking with a small business yesterday where they do a lot of their business during the holidays and spring break. Well, if she just showed, January and February as her sales month, it would look like she has no business. But that's just not the case. So it's really important as you submit these documents, if there are things that you think somebody might not fully understand, do your absolute best to spoon feed it to our agency so they can really understand it. Remember, just like you, they're overworked and overtired, and so if you make it easy for them, that's ultimately going to make it easier for you to get through the underwriting process and get your loan. Okay? All right. Hang in there, folks. We're in the home stretch, so you can ask your questions. Okay. Have ready to apply. This is slide number 12. We talked about the tax documents and all other financial information. We have SBA loan documents that are going to be required. Hard copy of the SBA Form 5, or if you're a self-proprietor, 5C, one or the other, then you will complete those forms, and that will lead you to the other forms that you will need. Now, here on this slide, it says, or apply online for auto-populating SBA forms. Now, normally, that is the preferred way for you to apply. However, that functionality is not currently available on our SBA disaster loan website because we've had so many people apply for these loans that our website kept crashing. So we didn't want to frustrate people in that way. So you're better off, print out a copy of the forms, fill them out, and then depending upon what the functionality of the website is, you can either then email them to disaster loans at SBA.gov, and there's a whole slide on that. Or you will see that you could send a hard copy package. I would recommend FedEx or UPS or something like that to our center in Fort Worth, Texas, and you'll see we have that address listed in just a moment.
Tom, this is Kathy.
Okay.
So this is just an example of how quickly. This is just an example of how quickly things are changing. So for the 12 o'clock webinar with Brian, what we learned is that there will be the new revamped website. There will be fillable PDFs. Okay, there, Tom?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Kathy. So, yeah, I mean, again, this is just, it's like everything right now.
Yep.
It's simply a moving target as we try to adjust and as best we can to serve you, optimally.
Absolutely.
Okay. Slide 13, options to apply. We talked about that. There's the website address. You can see that at disasterloan.sba.gov/ELA, electronic loan application. We talked about the paper one. There's the address for Fort Worth. And disaster loan information, you can always try and email your application to disaster customer service at sba.gov. And for questions, you can call 659-2955. And then there's also a number for the deaf and hard of hearing. But I will tell you, if you call, we've heard times, in the hours. So my guess is that you're going to end up having a less frustrating experience if you submit your question via email. There are certain questions, most of the difficult technical questions are going to have to go to the disaster folks, but you can, if you have, what may be fairly simple questions, you could send that to our email address, michigan@sba.gov. All right. Slide 14. Submit your application. The biggest reason for delays in processing is due to missing information. So please double, triple, quadruple check that you've completed all the forms completely and included all the forms that are needed. Now that may be, difficult for a lot of you. I know you're very tired. So personally, I highly recommend that you make sure that you have somebody else who hasn't been working on this for a few hours look over your shoulder, because they'll have a set of fresh eyes to help you complete anything that you might have missed. Now, can I change my loan amount once I've submitted an application? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you can only have one application per disaster declaration. So for the COVID-19 disaster declaration, you can only have one loan. But if you need more money, you can submit a request. Go to send that email to the address that I've already told you about. I need more money, and this is why. And obviously, you'd have some kind of justification, some kind of analysis that would show that. I forgot expense A, B, and C, and then the underwriter will go back and look at your loan and see if they can, if that makes sense, if they agree, and if they'll give you more money. If fewer funds are needed, you can request a reduction in the loan amount. And it's important for you to understand that you can prepay this loan at any time. So if you decide that, let's hope, if the economy improves because people are getting healthier more quickly than we thought, and you don't need all the money, that's fine. You only have to, if there's leftover money, you can pay down the loan. And, obviously as soon as you pay off the loan, then we're going to release all those mortgages for you as well. Now, question, what if I am denied a loan? Well, you have up to 6 months to file an appeal, And remember, it's a very normal part of the commercial lending process to get questions. So I loved one of my colleagues who said, I love when I get questions because that tells me that real life human being is actually looking at my loan package and is trying to, help me figure this out. So, that's not the same thing as a denial. If you get denied, you can still come back and make a request. Okay. Slide 15. Okay, really important. So we have a lot of resource partners that are available to you, and you can see we have a small business development center. They have like 70 or 80 consultants throughout the state of Michigan, and they're a nationwide group. We have our SCORE group, which is a great group of very experienced volunteers who love to help, small business owners. In the state of Michigan, we have 3 women business centers. And we also, I think, Matt, you're on the phone. Say hi, Matt. We have what's called a Veteran Business Outreach Center. They are Vet Biz Central out of Flint, but they serve all of Michigan and Indiana, I believe. You can correct me if you want, Matt. So you can reach out to them. Now, of course, they're just like everybody else, so they're super busy. In normal times, they can give, specific one-on-one counseling. That may be more limited simply because of the demand. However, I would suggest that what you do is you go to the nearest office. Where is that? You go to sba.gov/local-assistance. You can see that on the slide. Oh, hi, Kelly. I forgot. I'll mention that you're here, too. And if you put in your zip code, it will tell you what are the local assistance partners that are available for you. And I just want to say, yes, thank Kelly Hanford, fine lady, fine consultant, is here, too. She's with the Small Business Development Center. Oh, and I see Josh Billington, too. So Kelly is in the Capital Region in Lansing. Josh is up in the area of the Sioux. And so we have people all over the state, and we have people all over the country, actually. If you're calling in and you're not in Michigan, go to that website and look to get assistance. I will tell you, I know for sure in the state of Michigan that the Small Business Development Center is running a number of webinars, I believe some of which are available, on demand, which cover not only, this particular program, but a lot of other important aspects that small businesses need to think of as they're trying to manage their way through this COVID-19 crisis. So definitely, check that out. Go to that, local assistance and get some help. So, Mark, I'm sorry, the site just crashed on your end. Relog in. Let's see. And, as Kathy said, you can, send inquiries. And if you joined us a little late, we will send you a copy of this PowerPoint. We're happy to do that. Please send it to Michigan at SBA. Send a request for this PowerPoint at michigan@sba.gov. And I just want to say also, it's really critical that you get on our email list, follow us on Twitter. You can see there the to get updates, sba.gov/updates. All you have to do is put in your email and your zip code, and it'll send you stuff, from whatever state you're applying. So I presume most people are here from Michigan, but I think we have one caller from California. If you just put his or her zip code in, they'll get something from the many district offices we have throughout the Golden State there. All right. Questions. Let's talk about questions. What I'd like to do first is I'm going to go back up and take a look and see if there are any questions that Kathy wasn't able to answer through the chat. I'll read those aloud. And then when those are done, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, and we will do our best one at a time to try and answer all your questions as best we can. Yes?
Now, do you want me to just read off the questions? Or would you prefer to just read them?
Oh, Kathy, that would be so helpful to me.
Okay.
Yeah, please go right ahead. You know which ones
Okay,
you've
great.
answered. Yes, thank you.
All right, so let's get started. So David asks, I own a pub that is closed and also owns 3 mixed-use buildings. They're separate corporations. Do I combine into one application or complete 2 applications?
My thought is, and we have some complicated rules because we are the federal government, but the way you described it, as long as there is cash flow flowing between those entities and there's common control and common ownership, most likely those businesses are created. And if that's the case, then you'll need one application. And you know, when you successfully apply and close your loan, you'll get one big chunk of money that you'll then have to allocate among your different businesses.
And Tom, this question came up with a customer that I was working with yesterday, and what I learned from Brian is that if the corporations are in different counties, then you would apply separately. So if you had 3 McDonald's in Ingham County, that would be one loan request. And then if you had 3 Burger King franchise operations in Wayne County, that would be a different loan request.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. What about home builders?
Say that again, Kathy.
Oh, are home builders eligible for this loan program?
I'm sorry, say that again, our what?
Home builders. Home builders. Builders of homes.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, home builders, absolutely. Yes, you would be eligible. You know, for sure, you know, you're always a little more complex just because you have, work in process. But absolutely, you can certainly get things to cover salaries. You know, if you have an office that you need to cover, those kinds of things. If you have interest on construction loans that you need to cover, absolutely. We wouldn't refinance those loans, but we would loan you money to make your regular scheduled loan payments.
What about veterinary hospitals?
Yes, absolutely. I've already spoken with a few people in that industry. Yes.
Is a winery considered a hobby?
Your hobby isn't dependent on what the is. If it's something where people are just doing a little home brew and or making a few bottles and not doing that, not doing a lot of volume, then that would be considered a hobby business. But if somebody is dependent on that business for a significant part of their income, then that would be considered a non-hobby or an eligible business.
Bradley wants to know if he can get an economic injury disaster loan to pay off a higher interest rate loan. I told him no, because paying off a loan is not an eligible use of proceeds. However, to make his monthly debt payments on that loan would be an eligible use. Anything you need to correct or add to that, Tom?
Nope, that's correct. And I just want to say here, I saw somebody said our winery has 8 employees. That is not a hobby business.
Right. Megan asked, I'm based in Mackinac County and numerous businesses will be feeling the impact once we get into summer and further into spring. Can people apply based on projected estimates of economic loss?
Yeah, that kind of goes under that category of seasonal businesses. So, obviously, somebody there aren't a lot of tourists, in March in, that part of the state. But, you just need to project what your expenses would be at that time. We can't make up for your lost revenue, but we can make up for your expenses at that point. And that's what the, economic injury disaster loan is meant to help.
And certainly your financial statements and tax returns will support your previous historical activity.
Right, exactly. And that's where, you may want to, I talked a little bit about that earlier. If they ask for your last 3 months of sales, you may need to say, that doesn't make sense. We're super seasonal. Let me show you all of our monthly sales for 2019.
Exactly. Alexander asks, does payroll include the owner of an LLC or only if the LLC is taxed as an S Corp?
I've gotten that question. I'm not certain. If I would say apply for it. Just be very clear on what you're applying for. And to me, payroll is payroll. I don't know exactly how they look at it, but I would apply. Don't try and hide anything. Be very clear about it and see what the underwriter says. It doesn't make sense, right? We're trying to save businesses. It doesn't make sense to so the company, pays its rent, but the people who need to run the business don't have money to go to the grocery store.
Thanks, Tom. Bill has sort of a three-part question. The first part is he just lost his long-term contracts with Boeing, and it's going to take 12 to 15 months, and they're not even sure what's happening next year. They need to find new customers right now and kind of diversify. Will the SBA cover our costs for 18, 24 months? Is this the right plan? So that's part one.
Right now we are, I would say on a good day, our planning horizon is the next 7 days because things are just constantly changing. And I understand when you're in a long sales cycle business like that, that makes a ton of sense. Right now, we're underwriting just to 6 months. So I would say you need to think through that. I don't think our agency is going to cover 18 months of expenses right now, but the plan, I'm sure, because you're not the only, business in this situation, get through the next few months, work toward a longer time horizon, and I believe that, the Congress and the President are going to come up with more sophisticated legislation to help your kind of business down the road. I can't guarantee anything, of course, but the laws that have been passed are kind of like this bill right now. This economic injury disaster loan is supposed to be quick and dirty money. We don't want to think long term. What you need right now is a lifesaver.
The second part of Bill's question is he wanted us to confirm that this is a direct loan from SBA. It's actually a direct loan from the Treasury that SBA is administering because he has an existing SBA loan with his local bank. Any advice that you offer him, Tom, in terms of working with his lender on that existing SBA guaranteed loan?
Yeah, well, one of the things that you should know is that SBA loans are eligible for deferred payments of up to 6 months. And so you need to be talking with your banker or your credit union, whoever is financing your business. And I would say that this is, in general, is a really important thing for any business owner to do is make sure that in a non-panicky way, you are having a good dialogue with your banker. They are your partner, and they do not want you to fail. So there may be things that they can offer that, we don't even know about because it's not part of our program, but I know SBA loans for a fact can be deferred up to 6 months. The payments can be deferred up to 6 months.
And just to clarify, when Tom says SBA loans, that's existing SBA guaranteed loans for the 504 loan program. We're not talking about the disaster loan program. These economic injury disaster loans are deferred for 11 months. Your repayment begins on the 12th month, the date that you sign the promissory note. So just want to make sure that everyone understands.
That's right. Yes. Thank you, Kathy.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, that's the if you've got a regular SBA loan, we'll hold off payments for 6 months. If you apply for the special economic injury disaster loan, no payment for 12 months.
Yep. Then we also got a question from James on the time from application to funding. What I heard today from Brian again this morning, Tom, is 30 days. But again, that's, you know, as of this moment, and that's if all the information that we require is submitted, or you're complying with any requests for further information. What do you want to add to that, Tom?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a moving target. You know, we're trying to get information too, so I'm asking people I know who've already made application to get back to me, and I've heard different stories. So I think, you know, can we control that? No. Can you control that? Not really. The most important thing for you to do is, if you think that this is something that you need for your business, you need to apply right now. Get your information together, get those forms filled out, get the information submitted, and you know, see what they can do. I think that there may be variance as well based on how complicated your business is. If you have a fairly simple business, you're going to get your money more quickly than somebody who might have, you know, 4 or 5 different affiliated businesses, and there's a lot more work to, you know, understand the cash flow and how much the business would be eligible for, you know, for an economic injury disaster loan. So get out there and get that application in.
James also asked about a loan forgiveness program. Again, as Tom said earlier, we're not going to really discuss that. We don't have any information that was put out in the public domain prematurely, and at this point, we just don't have any information. But again, the minute that becomes available, we'll be conducting these webinars on that, I am sure. So Bonnie says that she's just started out. She's only been in business since September of 2019. She has 2 clients, but she may need to get a loan over the next few months. Is she eligible?
Yes, I would say you are certainly eligible to apply. You are not the first. You're probably like the 5th or 6th person who's told me they've gotten caught at just a bad time for this. What I had recommended is that you show whatever sales you can show, and that you also include as part of your loan package your business plan. And if you can demonstrate that you've already invested in the business and you've already got these expenses going, they may very well be willing, depending upon a lot of factors, they may be willing to give you loan money based on those projected sales in the future.
Dan wants to know if unsecured loans of under $25,000 still require a personal guarantee. My answer was yes. For any owner that has 20% or more equity in the business, you will be asked to personally guarantee. Do you want to add anything to that, Tom?
Nope. That's what I would have said too.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, Roy wants to know if the slides will be available. Again, Roy, right up here on the website, on the presentation, the PowerPoint is our address, michigan@sba.gov. Please send an email there, and then we will send these slides to you. So Patrick asked, will taking out an SBA disaster loan preclude you from getting loans under the new CURE bill? Should we wait to find out? I would say no. Apply now. Tom, do you give that same advice?
Yeah, let me just share what I've heard in the press on that.
You know
and again,
what?
this is not official SBA information.
You know what, Tom? I think
we've been asked. No.
Yeah, I think we've been asked not to comment on that by the disaster team.
Okay, so yeah,
sorry.
See what the bill. Yeah, I mean, that detail should be. Well, you know, we're talking at getting an SBA loan. You know, we've heard data, it's going to take 30 days for you to get your money. Nobody has to, you can apply, it takes you it's no cost and no fee. So just like Kathy said, if you make an application on that and you are not obligated to accept that loan. So between now and then, if you look at whatever gets passed by Congress and signed by the President, and the rules are such that you can only apply for one, and you decide, I don't want to go with this one, I'm going to go with Plan B, you can do that.
That's great advice.
And so that's, just like Kathy said, go ahead and apply, because I will tell you, it's just going to take us a few days at least, no matter what gets passed, because we have to know what the rules are. We have to be able to share those rules with whoever is going to do this loan program, and that's just going to take a few days, and it shouldn't take you that long to get this loan application in. It's not
great advice.
That way.
Great advice, Tom. Thank you. Patrick asks, what if a business is at the development stage, no revenue yet, but has rent? Can it apply for an SBA disaster loan to cover rent and utilities?
Yeah, I would say, similarly, I would say, with regard to, your business plan, put that in, put your application in, and, make your best case and see what the underwriter says. Certainly, at the very least, they may help you with the, covering some of, any loan payments that you've obligated yourself for.
That's great, Tom. Thank you. Christine asks, I'm in the process of plans for a new building to start on the 1st of June. Will this loan program help with continuing this project? I guess the further question, Christine, is, do you have a business that's actually operational, and are you just expanding into this new building? And Tom, what do you want to say to that to answer?
Yeah, I think that may be a little bit more difficult. Under this program, you can always apply and make your best case. I mean, it's always hard, right? Because we know that applying for commercial loans can be a little complex, and we just have a couple of sentences. But you may also want to talk with your current lender and see what their thoughts are on this as well.
And Christine further clarified that she is expanding into a new building. So you have an approved commercial loan. Okay. I would say talk with your lender. That's a great idea, Tom. Bill questions. His question is, he thought that the economic injury disaster loan was listed last week to cover up to 24 months of damage. Has it changed to 6 months?
Yeah, Bill, we were told that they were looking at 6 months of expenses. And that came directly from maybe Kathy, I misheard, but that was what I heard from the disaster loan expert last week, was that they were looking at 6 months.
So Bill, send that email to michigan@sba.gov, and we'll follow up with that and get some clarification on that. Tom, do you want to, well, we're right at 3 o'clock. I was going to say, do you want to open it up for any verbal questions? Because we have gone through all the questions on the chat.
Yeah, I have a little time if we can do that. So
tell people again how to unmute themselves, Tom.
Yes, please. Yeah, you can unmute yourself, *6. If I don't get your question first, *6 again to mute yourself, and then when there's a break, *6 to get your question in. So yes, please go ahead.
Hello? I've got a question. Earlier, you gave us an email address. It started out CACHERINE.GA. Could you repeat that, please?
Actually, I've been asked by my boss to divert all emails to Michigan, spelled out, at SBA.gov. So that was my personal email address for work, but I can't handle the volume of emails in a timely manner. So by sending them to Michigan at SBA.gov, we can deploy those emails to our staff and be answering you in a more timely manner. So,
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Question.
Go ahead.
I would like to know, in terms of the SBA, I've never done this before. Does that cover grants as well?
Not at this point. We don't have any grants available at this point. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I did want to say, remember, the grants are very, very difficult to obtain for a for-profit business, but the SBA, is not the only answer. So you may want to check with other, possible sources. I know the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, may have some other program. And, look locally too. We're hearing, about different county-wide programs and city-wide programs for small businesses. I can't, say that I know. Thank you, Kathy, for putting that on the chat. Michigan Economic Development Corporation, michigan.gov. And you may see another program that could be helpful for you.
I do know that beginning April 1, they will be taking applications for grants of $10,000 or less. I do not know the criteria, so definitely visit their website.
So this doesn't cover nonprofit SBA?
Are you a nonprofit, Naomi?
Yes, ma'am.
You are, okay. Tom?
Go ahead, Kathy.
Oh, yeah, nonprofits are eligible if you're a private nonprofit.
Yes.
Yes, but it's not a grant. It's still the same loan, but the interest rate is 2.75% for nonprofits.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
The gentleman first, and then we'll take the lady next.
Sure.
Okay.
My name is Mark. I'm calling from Flint, Michigan. I own an ambulance company. We've got about 130 employees. So we're statutorily required to operate 24/7 as part of the emergency response, component to. But essentially overnight, because of the quarantine, 30% of people, 30% less 911 calls are coming in, and because of the closing of all the medical facilities, all non-essential medical transportation has ceased. So we've laid people off, and we currently have an SBA loan. We're a for-profit company. So, my question is, can we use the money to bring people back to work, even if we know that bringing them back to work, that the volume of business isn't there to sustain the cost of bringing people back to work? Is essentially, are you capable of using the money to bring people back to work, even if you know that doing so isn't going to necessarily generate a profit?
Tom?
The answer to that is yes. We are encouraging companies to, keep on their employees. That's part of what this program's about. But ultimately, business owner decision. I would also say that you need to pay very careful attention to what comes out of the new law when we learn the details. That may be helpful as well. And then I also would say you may want to talk with some of the other people in the medical services supply chain, some of the other medical systems to see, it wouldn't surprise me that if I have no special knowledge, but it wouldn't surprise me if there were, special programs out there to help medical service providers like you continue in operation.
Okay. Well, my other question is that we own the real estate that we operate out of, our both commercial real estate as well as some portfolio of residential real estate that we rent to employees because there's a shortage of skilled labor in the emergency medical technician and paramedic industries. So we try to use lowered rents as incentives to attract quality employees. My point is, is that we have two separate companies, a property management LLC and a sub S corp, Stat Emergency Medical Services, INC. Under our SBA loan, those are the two entities' assets are cross collateralized and cross defaulted with personal guarantees. How would I go about applying for a loan if the mortgages or if the real estate would be the collateral, and that collateral already has a primary SBA lien?
So we're hearing from our disaster folks that we're the fourth lien position on the collateral. So you don't have to worry about that. Tom,
Okay.
Are you in agreement, Tom?
Yep.
Yep.
So would I apply for the loan specifically under the entity that owns the property, or would I apply for the loan because obviously the property management company doesn't generate revenue and isn't the source of the loss revenue that is impacted by this COVID-19 outbreak? The ambulance company is.
You're going to apply, those are going to be affiliated businesses, and you're going to apply for both businesses at the same time, one application.
Okay, thank you. That information helps. I do appreciate it.
Next question?
Hello.
Go ahead.
I own a dog and cat boarding facility, and of course, I have an SBA loan. This is the first time I've ever applied for anything like this, so I'm a little bit confused when I'm hearing that you're looking at 6 months. So when I do the schedule of liabilities, there is a spot on the left top side that says date of schedule. Should that be like April 1st, 6 months forward, or what should I put in that spot?
Yeah, I would put, if some are due on a certain time schedule, I would put, when's the next one due? So, April 1st, and how, make sure that you put in there somewhere for each debt, how often it is owed. So utilities are monthly, rent's monthly, property taxes are semi-annually.
Okay, because what I was looking at was like a time frame from April 1st to December 1st, because as a dog and cat boarding facility, I am somewhat seasonable. I have lesser income in the winter and more income in the summertime when the kids are out of school and everybody's traveling. So I'm anticipating that it's going to take probably most of my summer season is going to be really bad this year because of the number of people that have lost jobs, and I think our revenue is going to be down quite a bit. So that's what I'm trying to decide. Like my property taxes are due in December. Or in September, I'm sorry.
We're going to look, we're going to look at whatever cash is going to go in or out for the next 6 months. And I hear what you're saying, because you create a kitty there in the summer when you're most busy, so you can pay those December taxes.
Right.
I would say deal with the 6 months now, and then we're going to adjust our programs based on how the economy goes. So if it takes us longer where we're in quarantine, we're going to adjust our program to account for more time for that. And there, and again, remember, I certainly can't guarantee, but you're not going to be the only person who may find themselves short on property taxes, so there may end up being relief at the state and local level to help you with that as well. But for this program right now, we can only look at 6 months of cash in and out.
Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Next caller.
Hello, my name is Robert.
Go ahead.
I got on a little bit late, and right when I got on, you were talking about how to submit the applications from the SBA disaster relief website. And I think you said to print them and send them in. Did I hear that right? Or, okay.
Tom?
Yes, what we're hearing today, and that's different from what we got yesterday, is that you cannot go into the website and fill out the forms. That is not available to anyone right now.
I'm on it right
what
now.
What you need to do is to complete the paper forms, and then you can mail those forms and all the other documentation that's required to our address in Fort Worth. So if you if you weren't able to write that down, send an email to michigan@sba.gov, and we will email you a copy of this whole presentation, which will include that mailing address.
And so there's updated information that I just learned at our noon webinar, and I'm told by our disaster people that our website was revamped last night, and I'm told that it's completely different than the application process that it was just a number of days ago, and that the forms are fillable. So
yeah, I will verify that because I'm
okay.
on it right now.
Okay,
I had it all the way done a few days ago and waited for this webinar, and then I was on the webinar. So, but I'm working on it right now.
Great. So you, to the extent possible, you want to do everything electronically.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought.
Okay. Well, thanks for confirming that, Robert.
Okay, no problem.
Next question.
I have a quick follow-up
Go ahead.
question, Mark, from Flint, Michigan. For medical-based businesses, obviously, medical receivables are billed out at significantly higher gross amounts than net collected dollars. And so, do we when we're factoring an estimated revenue reduction, we factor in the additional likelihood of unemployed people and the increased amount of Medicaid participants, since Medicaid is the lowest paying, medical payer? Or how do we anticipate?
Sure. Well, remember, that from your perspective, that's revenue. We aren't going to reimburse you for your revenue. Okay, but if you want to, and I'm not sure because this question hasn't come up, if you want to call that an expense, your need to write off revenue, then you need to just simply disclose that in your estimates, because what you're saying to me seems like that's very reasonable. What may happen, and then you may have a discussion with the underwriter. They may say, your write-offs, we're not going to cover that, or they may very well be willing to cover it. I can't tell you for sure, but I think you're better off requesting it and disclosing it and then seeing what happens than not talking about it at all.
Absolutely. So, and as a follow-up, does the information that we submit to this SBA, does that go to our banking partner? I mean, we bank with Huntington Bank, so
No.
As you were saying, okay, because as you were saying earlier, we've been proactive in communicating with our bank, but doing so in a way that doesn't spook them and have them getting concerned about the viability of our existing.
So the answer is you want to be very open and upfront and communicate as you have been with your bank. We are not going to send information to your lender.
But we should tell them that we're applying for the disaster relief loans.
I would say yes. Tom, would you agree?
Yeah, they'll want to know. They'll want to know that because that's going to change their collateral position. However, lenders are not going to look at this as a bad way. The last thing they want are business owners who are scared and not doing anything. You're working proactively to get emergency cash flow into your business so that you can pay them and other obligations. They want to see that. This is,
Okay,
you know, if
great.
these were normal times, that might be a concern, but these are not normal times.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, thank you
Next-
very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next
I
question?
won't, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question? I'll pose one question and then maybe we're going to wrap up. So we have a gentleman who has back taxes with the IRS and is not on a payment plan. And in our regular SBA guarantee loan program, that would make him or her, in this case, a gentleman, ineligible. However, have we heard anything, Tom, different in the disaster underwriting policy?
No, we haven't heard anything different. I think it's going to be really important for that borrower to make sure that he gets that plan done.
Yeah.
I would put that at the top of my list.
Agreed.
And go from there. And I will say also that payment plan is going to have to include a complete payment of any obligation, because if there's an offer in compromise, that may end up resulting in an ineligibility because of a loss, what we call loss to the government.
So glad you're on this, doing this, Tom, because you know the policy better than I ever could. Thank you for that. Any other
I have
questions? Go ahead.
One quick one. This is Robert again. On these forms where it says it needs a signature, in order to get a signature on there, I can't like do an online signature. It won't let me. So does that mean that you've got to print the form, sign it, and then scan it and put it back in? Is that what that means?
We're at a,
What
we're at a,
form was that?
Well, right now I'm just like I'm doing a personal financial statement, and there's a place for the signature and a place where they want you to print the name. So I'm doing it online, and I cannot cut and paste my signature, put it in there. So the only way I can get my signature on there is to print the form, sign it, and then scan it and put it, back in, and then download it. Is that what you want, or can you just, where it says signature, can you just type your name in there and would that be good enough?
No, they need to have some kind of personal agreement that's on the form. So you need to sign it, scan it, and upload it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
any other questions? Tom, thank you so much for all your information and insight.
Oh, Kathy, thank you. You are you're awesome, and you're answering the questions. This is great. So, folks, we're just about done. I want, again, please sign up for updates, sba.gov/updates, so you know what's going on. Follow us on Twitter at @SBA_Michigan. So you can, continue to learn what's going on, especially with this new bill that we're hoping is going to, become law here fairly soon. So if you have other questions, you're going to get your fastest response if you send an email to michigan@sba.gov, and those questions will be sent out to our whole team, who will get back to you as absolutely soon as we can.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tom. Be well, stay safe, everyone, and we're rooting for you.